Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we have quite the shakeup from Wargaming. They seem to be, well, there's seems to be two interpretations of this announcement. One seems to be that Wargaming has completely lost their mind. The other one seems to be that they're actually listening to player feedback. Two very opposite reactions here to what's going on. So what is going on? So today Wargaming has released a dev blog during the next season of Clan Battles already. And there's a lot of changes coming to this upcoming season, and they're going all out. It seems on the bans, the limitations, and boy, it's a lot. So we're gonna try and get through it in today's video. If I sound a little weird, I'm sick. I made the mistake of going outside, so naturally my body decides that I can't breathe anymore, and my throat's all raw and stuff. So I'm sorry if I'm sounding weird. But we'll see how long my vocal cords hold out for. So, if you want to read along as I read aloud, link to this will be in the description down below. I will be throwing up any relevant images or artwork as we go through it. So, they say Clan Battle Season 21, Closed Testing 12.4. We'd like to share details about the 21st season of Clan Battles. From May 29th till July 17th, the 21st Clan Battle Season Cash-A-Lot will be held in a 6v6 format on Tier 8 and Tier 9 ships. The following restrictions will be applied from the start of the season. General restrictions. No CVs or submarines. Everyone said, hallelujah. No more than 2 Tier 9 ships per team. No limits on number of battleships per team for the first week. After 1 week, the limit will change to no more than 1 battleship per team. No more than 3 mercenaries per division. No BBs. No limit on BBs for the first weeks. Fellas, grab your Tirpitzes, or Tirpitzi. I guess they're in a pack like that. And here we start getting into their, their spreadsheet of restrictions. So they say restrictions on specific ships. Ships that have an alternative version, such as black or collaboration versions, are included in restrictions by default when the original is restricted, but not listed separately. So like if you have an Alaska B or an Alaska, they're considered to be the same ship. So if you see Alaska is restricted, Alaska B is restricted. So here we go. Limited the number of Cherbourg, Brest, Carnot, and Schroeder. One team may not have more than 2 of these ships in total. Limited the number of Les Fantastiques, Les Terribles, Kiev, Mogador, Nebraska, Delaware, and Kearsarge. One team may not have more than 2 of these ships total. Limited the number of Kidd, Loliang, Kazakh, Akazuki, Benham, Kitakazi, Nebraska, Delaware, and Kearsarge. One team may not have more than 2 of these ships in total. Limited the number of Massachusetts, Lennon, Ruprecht, Nebraska, Delaware, and Kearsarge. One team may not have more than 1 of these ships in total. Limited the number of Alaska, Kronstadt, Nebraska, Delaware, and Kearsarge. One team may not have more than 1 of these ships in total. Musashi and Georgia are not allowed at all. So if you think that's a little confusing, here's a fancy little spreadsheet right here showing the restrictions. I'm very glad they did this because this would have hurt my head trying to visualize this. So thank you, Ouija, for this handy little graph here. So they've been very smart about this, in my opinion. You know, take into consideration hybrid ships and the top-end DDs for this tier, because you have Kidd, great DD, Akazuki, amazing DD, Kitakazi, probably one of the most busted DDs in the game, Kazakh, Benham, Loyang, all very good DDs that you definitely would have seen multiple of if they didn't limit it to just 2 in hand with the Nebraska and the Delaware and the Kearsarge. So it looks like they've actually put some thought into this, and I'd like to give them props for that. And then Alaska and Kronstadt, 100% you're going to see Alaska. I think Alaska is going to be everywhere this season. It's an amazing cruiser. It's exceptionally tough. Even in tier 10 and super ship games, Alaska can like hang in there and still be among the top performers on the team easy. So when you put her in a tier 9 slot, yeah, definitely. Oh, sorry, in a tier 9 only setting, definitely going to be a top pick. Kronstadt, not as buff as she used to be, not as tough as she used to be, I should say, but definitely with that Soviet radar, yeah, definitely a ship that would be picked. And she does have stalling reds guns, even if they're not as potent. Musashi and Georgia banning those ships, I think that's an excellent decision. They would have been everywhere if not. All right, and plus they're not available anymore, so yeah. But again, a lot of these ships aren't available, and they're still letting people take them. So yeah, but I mean, like Musashi and Georgia, they're so powerful that they could easily turn the tide. And these ships haven't been available for some time either. But yeah, that's a different video for a different day. So they say battles will be held on the following maps in the clan domination mode: North, Trap, Hotspot, Sleeping Giant, Trident, Loop, and Northern Warders. On MultiTier. In Season 17, we allowed clans to bring 7 ships of Tier 10, and including up to 2 super ships. Community feedback was extensive, I would imagine so. But the biggest takeaways was that the multi-tier format was exciting and new, but the certain parts of super ships were too strong. Yes. Overall, the feedback was that it was nice to move clan battles in a direction that had not been done before, but that specific cases needed attention beforehand and quicker reactions were needed from our side with restrictions when problems arose. Definitely, like I said, with the Conde, that thing should have been banned long before the final week of clan battle season. Season 19 was Tier 8 for the first time we had done a Tier 8 season since Season 6. Much had changed in the Warships landscape since then, and a very interesting meta developed from Storm League all the way up to Hurricane. Multiple compositions and lineups were effective, and this remained in place all the way to the end. The main takeaways for us this season were that French DDs continued to perform very well in clan-based formats, and that large cruisers with heals like Cherbourg needed restrictions due to the combination of speed, HP pull, and armor layout. Now we arrive in Season 21, and we are eager to share other multi-tier seasons with you all. Since the Tier 8 meta has shown a solid variety of compositions, we like to see how things go when a few Tier 9s are available. This effectively doubles the ship's options, but this means that the Tier 9s a clan chooses will have a major impact on how the rest of their lineup evolves. Our hope is that each clan will be able to better play to their strengths and weaknesses by the lineups they filled with these increased options. We are also pleased to share that we have already added better UI support for multi-tier seasons, and we are working on ideas to improve the readability of the restrictions window. We also noted that last season, many clans did not like having meta-defining restrictions introduced late into the season when teams are making their final pushes into a higher league or to the top of Hurricane. So in this season, we've decided to make the biggest changes early in the season while the meta remains undefined, and return to a more familiar setup as the season progresses. On battleship restrictions and cruiser interaction, last season we checked what would happen with cruiser survivability by removing battleships of guns 430mm and above. Further, we experimented with both double battleship and single battleship to see how it affected cruiser choice. These restrictions were perceived quite positively as many forgotten cruisers became viable once again without the 430mm plus battleships present. Once the battleships were restricted to 1, only the cruiser variety again increased. We would like to take this a step further to see how survivability and ship composition of teams as a whole is affected when the limit on battleships is removed completely. This experiment introduces new options that have not yet been explored in clan battles at the beginning of the season before teams have begun to define their primary ship lineups. After 1 week, battleships will be reduced to a single slot again. On hybrids and Delaware, plus Nebraska and Kearsarge. To find out how hybrid battleships perform in competitive modes, we allowed Louisiana into the last week and a half of Season 20. It allowed us to better understand how such ships are played in the clan battles format, how similar/different they are to CVs in competitive formats, and how great an impact they had based on league. It turned out that while Louisiana was strong in some leagues, she was not the best pick across all leagues. The obvious benefits of having a hybrid are the ability to spot destroyers. Yep. Increased damage by cycling planes, the ability to strike specific targets anywhere on the map that all come from the controllable planes. While Louisiana performed well in both popularity and effectiveness when they're accurate and sturdy US bombers, it was not the case with the Tone in the Tier 8 format of Season 19, because Tone's garbage, that's no duh. Tone was a viable choice brought by a number of clans, but was not either an immensely popular choice or not an immensely successful choice despite having controllable planes. Yeah, but you see, like, the Louisiana has dive bombers with a very accurate reticle. Tone has Tier 6 planes, she has one less plane than Issei, and a long longer reload. She has like a 3-minute reload time on her planes versus the 2-minute reload time on the Louisiana's, and it's so much easier to get direct damage with Louisiana's planes versus Tonei's torpedoes. Like, it's like, you can see the torpedoes in the water, they have to arm, and you can dodge them. The dive bombers, you have much less forewarning about them being dropped, of course, and you can't, like, once they're dropped, they fall in a few seconds. You don't have, 30, 40 seconds once they're dropped for them before they hit your ship like you do with torpedoes. So yeah, I mean, that should be a no-brainer. Further clan feedback was that Tonei was a fun choice that allowed them to trade gun power over time for the situational ability to spot or drop torpedoes, but that using the planes was not an automatic need. We would like to take a look once more at what the line is for a hybrid ship between a must-have and a viable choice in a clan battles lineup. We'd like to give a special thank you to all the players that helped our team with feedback on the specific details of how Louisiana performed at the higher end of the competitive field. With that in mind, we'd like to see how Nebraska, Delaware, and Kearsarge fit into the mixed tier meta. It's possible that they will be regarded as the same as Louisiana, but it is also possible that taking a Delaware and Kearsarge is not as useful as taking another tier 9 choice. It is also possible that the rocket arm planes of Kearsarge will be regarded more like Tonei, situationally useful and therefore an exciting choice that is not regarded as mandatory to win. Okay, so Kearsarge too. Like, okay, the rockets are a lot harder to dodge against large targets like other battleships and large cruisers, but the spotting's there, most definitely. And unlike a lot of other hybrids, Kearsarge doesn't trade firepower for the planes. She has 12 16-inch guns at tier 9. She has Montana firepower at tier 9, albeit with a 35-second reload, so a longer reload, but she still has a lot of firepower available to her. So, yeah, and the planes, the rocket planes, if you're good with them, again, it's not hard to hit battleships, large, and even medium-sized cruisers with them at all. And they're the Tiny Tims. They do a lot of damage, and they do a lot of fire starting. Again, unlike the Tonei, which has crap planes. So, like, yeah, the Tonei traded firepower for crap planes. The Kearsarge gains firepower at a slower reload time, but also still has strong planes. Not as strong as the Louisiana's, but still strong in my opinion. Okay. So, these lists are designed to allow only a single hybrid battleship in a lineup. We're also denying other strong ship choices if hybrid is chosen. If the hybrid battleships are showing themselves to be too strong the first 2 weeks, we can add extra restrictions or remove them entirely from the mode. Quicker reactions from Wargaming. Another important piece of feedback from Season 20 was that more reactive restrictions from our side were appreciated by those players heavily invested in clan battles. We have tried this for several seasons now, so once again we will closely monitor the popularity and success rates of ships, as well as taking feedback from our focus groups, and may alter lineups for the sake of maintaining a varied meta across all leagues. With a multi-tier season, the number of ships available essentially doubles, so the restrictions are by necessity more complicated. We'll keep an eye on other ships that may be problematic, as well as gauging the current effectiveness of these restrictions and apply changes accordingly. Good luck, fair season. Thank you to everyone who helped our team with feedback. Get out there and make for the eye of the hurricane. Okay, so off the bat, again, I appreciate that they're taking a closer look at things. They're trying a more nuanced approach with the ship restrictions. I really appreciate that. And they do seem to be somewhat listening to player feedback. And the issues with hybrids in clan battles is, yes, the spotting's there. That's the biggest thing I think that hybrids bring to the table. It's just that with the American hybrids, again, their planes are so good, especially the dive bombers, that a good Louisiana player last season made a big difference. Although, again, you didn't really have the tankiness of the Louisiana, so that was kind of the trade-off. But then you'd bring a Stalingrad or something that kind of takes the spot for some time. So we'll see how they do when they have a full season to develop and such. It being a mixed tier season, I like the idea. I especially like it that you have 2 tiers that have been designed to fight each other for ever since the game was introduced. It's not like, well, whatever season it was, a super ship season where you had tier 10 ships that were never designed to fight these super ships. So you had, of course, insane power gaps with these super ships versus tier 10s, but tier 8s and tier 9s have been designed to fight each other for a very long time. So it's much more balanced in my opinion. And the fact that you can't take like a full team of tier 9s. You're limited to 2. So I can tell you, like, probably like Kitakazi, Alaska, definitely are going to be 2 very popular choices. Kitakazi, yeah, it is more of a light cruiser than a gunboat, but I'm sorry, than a DD. But just the DPM that thing is going to have is going to be crazy. I also like that it's basically a tier 8 season with a couple of tier 9s, because that opens it up to a lot more players. All that players have tier 8s. There's a bagillion tier 8 premiums that have been out for a very long time, and I'd imagine just with like even the casual player, you probably managed to pick up 1 or 2 free tier 8 premiums in events or in containers or things like that. So I do like that it's a tier 8 season. I do like that submarines and CVs aren't allowed in. 6v6, that's a smaller format. That's going to help keep comms a little less cluttered. Because 7, that's a lot of people to manage when you're having to give like direct orders and stuff. There was a 9 player season 1, so that was just absolutely cat wrangling at that point. So I'm actually pretty excited to see how this goes. I do like that they're experimenting and not just copying and pasting previous seasons. I do appreciate that, trying to liven it up a bit more. So that's my current 2 cents on this season. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to go take some medication and hopefully not kill my throat for the rest of the evening. Well, hopefully keep it alive for the rest of the evening. But yeah, God, I love the change in weather. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful Wednesday, wonderful rest of this week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.